happening in our country just before I go on radio. So this is the only opportunity that we have to truly air our thoughts and, bare our hearts the way that we can, concerning things that happen in our country. My name is Precious. Welcome to my channel. Thank you to everyone who's been following, and thank you to those who subscribed and those who also have recommended this page to their friends and loved ones. Now, the idea for this page is to continue to build political consciousness in the mind of people. You know that thing that happened in Edo election this weekend? If the people of Edo are very political, or we are very politically aware, that kind of thing would have not happened at all. Yes, because it would have made a better decision, perhaps a more informed decision. So that is why we're here to constantly talk about these issues so that people can know to do or will know how to make a more informed decision. Welcome to the show. My name is Precious. So today we'll be looking at a couple of issues. One, we'll be looking at Justice Kudirat's Kekere Ekun confirmed as the substantial Chief Justice of Nigeria. That's one of the stories in our on the burn this morning, this evening. Justice Kudirat's issue spans from the Imo State election to the Presidential Election Tribunal, not just the tribunal, the Supreme Court, because she was the only female in the Supreme Court's tribunal. If you remember, that's a presidential election. So we're going to look at that case, and then we also go straight to Yahaya Bello. Yahaya Bello has leave. I get mind. Carry EFCC, go court. Say, EFCC, how dare you declare me wanted? Wonders shall never end. So Yahaya Bello takes EFCC to the Supreme Court and requesting or angry over EFCC's decision to declare him wanted. We'll also look at that conversation today on the show. And we have a couple of other things, one of which is a federal high court in Abuja, not in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, stopping PDP from touching the excos that have been nominated by Wike in Rivers State. So that it's only the Wike's led PDP excos in Rivers State now then get power. The other ones, nothing for them like Lagbaja. Interesting conversations, right? We'll look at those issues and many more stuff that we'll be looking at today on the show. And just to mention but a few, to mention the last, now the Minister of Interior demanded for the probe of Nigerian prison after it's been revealed that Idris Okuneye, aka Bobrisky, did not after all serve his jail term. He was chilling in one apartment like that, and he paid about 15 million for the money laundering charge against him to be brought down. Well, these are the conversations that we have, but let's look at a few things that Justice Kudirat today told the Senate. She faced the Senate today. You recall that yesterday, I don't know if I mentioned it to you, that Justice Kudirat, that the presidency through President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had written to the Senate to confirm Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun as the substantial Chief Justice of Nigeria. You recall that she was in acting capacity because of the retirement of former Justice Ariwola. Yeah, so today she faced the Senate and she said a couple of things in the Senate. One of which caught my attention is the fact that she said she was going to fight corruption, that everyone understands her and understands her stance on corruption. And she was going to ensure that she fights corruption. Another thing she said, talking about digitalizing the judicial process, because elsewhere in the world, we have situations where some court proceedings may now hold virtually. Whether or not the lawyer is the judge is present in court or not, the judge can be present virtually but still hold judgments, and court proceedings will still take place. So she mentioned a few of that, but let's go straight to the issue of fighting corruption. So Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun is, of course, a very revered justice of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and she's actually the most senior justice to take over the position. So it was very befitting for her to take over from Justice Ariwola. But then, looking at the antecedents of some cases that she's taking part in, one of which is very prominent is the case of Hope Uzodinma of APC winning the election or the governorship election in Imo State. Now, when that case was taken to the Supreme Court, when the case got to the Supreme Court, she was part of the panel that sat on that case, that presided over that case. And the judgment that panel gave on that case assumed all the local governments that were in the supposed stronghold of Hope Uzodinma and all the, his stronghold, and all the votes from that area that is his stronghold, they accrued the votes and gave to Hope Uzodinma, which now saw him as the winner of election. He was not the first person by the election. He took at least, I think, the 4th position. He wasn't the first. He wasn't the second. He had won the election of PDP then. He was the first position. He wasn't the second. He wasn't the third. He was the 4th person. How do you assume that because a particular region is somebody's stronghold and every single vote from that region must be ceded to that person? That is another question. So would that have been a fantastic judgment? Because that judgment raised a lot of controversy. Nigerians complained a lot following that judgment. People complained and said, how is it so that a court in Nigeria and the appellate court in Nigeria, which is the court of final jurisdiction in Nigeria, will cede every single vote from a particular local government and give it to one man, Hope Uzodinma? How did that happen? Now, this is the kind of decision that Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun and the other people who sat on that case during Hope Uzodinma's case made. Now, would you say that this is a case that is indeed fair? The lady justice is supposed to be blindfolded, and of course, because of her blindfold, she doesn't know anybody. She won't be seeing anybody, so her judgment is supposed to be fair and balanced. So is that judgment a fair judgment? That Hope Uzodinma, the person who had come forth in the election, was not declared winner of an election where he was 4th before? Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun was part of those who took the decision for that judgment. That judgment raised a lot of controversy. And I remember Donald Duke then, responding months later when some of those justices, including her, were denied visa to the United States. And then he did mention then that it was because of that case that most of them were denying visa to the United States of America. Even though some people believe that the United States is perhaps not so innocent with cases like this and such issues, and meddling themselves in things that are not a bit too clean. Some people would have of that opinion. But then again, now that Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun has now been confirmed as a substantial Chief Justice of Nigeria, and she vows that people understand her stand and her points in corruption, do you really see Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun fighting corruption to the tooth? Because she vows to fight corruption. Hey guys, that is what we will be discussing today on the show. So I'd like you to jump in on this conversation. I'll be opening the phone line. You can call me to air your thoughts and your opinion on the conversation. I'd really love to hear what you have to say about that. And apart from that, Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun was also the only female, I think about the only female in the bench of the Supreme Court justices that presided over the presidential election Supreme Court case. If you remember, she was among those who presided over the presidential election Supreme Court issue. And then you may just be wondering, some of the things that the presidential election Supreme Court mentioned was the fact that Abuja cannot be treated differently from other states. So Abuja is now a state. So if by that interpretation, it means that Abuja cannot be given a special status. Now, what made Abuja have special status and why that "and" was added there in the constitution was because, if you win the election, you have to win, and Abuja means that it is inclusive of Abuja. But then this judgment by the Supreme Court interpreted it to be that it is not necessary that Abuja could be, because Abuja cannot be treated as, given a special status. If Abuja is not given a special status, please remind us, who is the governor of Abuja? And Abuja just has one minister. Other states have about 2, 3, 4 ministers. But Abuja enjoys just only one minister. So who is the president of Abuja? Why does Abuja have only one minister, as it were? So these are issues that we have to look at. These are things that we need to look at. And, so when Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun says she vows to fight corruption because people understand her stance in corruption, people would really love to know. I really love to pick your minds and opinion on what you think about it. One, considering her stance on the judgment that saw Hope Uzodinma as from the number 4 position to the winner of the election. 2, as the way they interpreted the election, the Supreme Court judgment on the 2023 presidential election. Remember that some of the things they also said was, interpreting other issues in the law. For instance, stating that INEC's guidelines during the election were mere promises, and it is not mandatory for INEC to hold on to their promises. These are issues that people are saying. So in an issue like this, would you really say that, oh, I trust that this person can really fight corruption because INEC's guideline is just a guideline? When a judgment was passed and you say that INEC's guideline, the promises INEC made on their guidelines, to set aside for the election, it's not compulsory for the same INEC to be held responsible for pulling through with that, to that judgment. Are these things that we should look forward to? Well, my phone lines will be open shortly, and I really would love to take your thoughts and reactions, because I'd like to know what you think about this and Justice Kekere Ekun's involvement in Hope Uzodinma's case in the Supreme Court judgment of the presidential election in 2023. The number to call is 0817-029-4077, 0817-029-4077, only on WhatsApp. So you can only reach that number on WhatsApp and call the number on WhatsApp alone. I'd really love to share your thoughts and reaction on this. So if you're joining for the first time, welcome. This is a very interactive session. We'll just be talking about different things coming up from Nigeria. One, I told you that the National Assembly through the Senate has now approved Justice Kekere Ekun as the substantial Chief Justice of Nigeria. And having confirmed her as the substantial Chief Justice of Nigeria, she will become the Chief Justice from now till at least her tenure expires, or perhaps until she retires. And then one of the things that Justice Kekere Ekun said today in the floor of the Senate was that she vows to fight corruption in the judiciary in Nigeria. And then the question is, what is your take on that? Especially considering her involvement in the judgment that saw Hope Uzodinma from number 4 to the winner of the election of the Imo State, years back. And also, especially considering, the fact that she was part of the panel who sat on the presidential election Supreme Court case. I really would like to share your thoughts and reaction on that. It is 0817-029-4077, only on WhatsApp. That's the number to call to just participate in this. I'd like it to be very interactive, to share your thoughts and reactions on these issues. 0817-029-4077. That's the number for you to call to share your thoughts on these issues. So she also spoke, she said she vows to ensure that petitions are dealt with speedily to foster integrity within the judiciary. She said, I am known for integrity, discipline. I will ensure zero tolerance for corruption. So she promises. Well, Nigerians, and I'm asking, what's your opinion really on this issue? Do you see the revered Chief Justice, considering her involvement in Hope Uzodinma's case, actually, living through to her words in ensuring to fight corruption in the judicial system in Nigeria, just as she's promised the Senate today? I'd like to take your thoughts and reactions on that. But then let's also go to other issues concerning our system generally in Nigeria. I don't know if you recall what is going on with the Bobrisky's issue. I really don't like to talk about those issues because I like to talk about matters that are a bit more serious in Nigeria. But then, the federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Interior, has now asked for a probe of the Nigerian prison system. How is it that somebody is supposed to go to jail and the person does not go to jail? But this is just a bit laughable. Because this is not the first time we're hearing that the Nigerian prison system is like a world on its own. People have oftentimes said that people who even go, in fact, that the prison is like a business center of its own. In fact, I was just hearing today from different sources, and people have posted it on the streets of social media, that did you know that if you even have so much money, somebody can go and serve your term? There are people even waiting to serve your term for you. So much so that somebody can be willing to collect 2 million naira, 3 million naira, 4 million naira from you and help you serve your 5 years, 10 years, 8 years, 20 years jail term. In fact, that they even swap people in prison. Swap people for somebody else in prison. How is it that the Minister of Interior, Olubimitunji Ojo, has been there for more than 1 year without understanding that these gimmicks, these games, this corruption happen in the prison? The ministry that he oversees, a parastatal that he oversees, it is now today, because somebody has blown the whistle on Bobrisky, it is now you're not calling for the probe of the prison system in Nigeria. Are we just joking in this country? A situation where we know that even some people who respond on social media, some people even tweet from prison. Did we not see videos the other day of people lying down anyhow in prison, and one of them making videos of themselves lying down on the floor on the prison? They just sit down, they lie down on each other, they like sardine, joined together, make a talk for pigeon. They join together like sardine for grant. Now so they together for prison. You also would have seen video of the kind of food they were giving to them in prison. One of them, somebody who's in prison, used a phone to make a video showing the kind of food they give to them in prison. See the kind of food they give us in prison, oh, see the kind of food they give us, even show the kind of plates they use and the poor portion of food they give to them in prison. All that time that was happening, are we saying that our revered minister, sir, is unaware of this and is oblivious of those videos, that he did not know that it is now that will not begin to probe these allegations? Well, these are issues that we have to also look at. But let me quickly jump on this call and get back to take your thoughts and reactions. Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining me. Hello, good evening.
Okay. Are you online?
Yes, I am.
Okay, on TV. Oh. Okay, I had one on the call yesterday. The same sent me some that is even in America for pizza.
All right, so going on, let's go on to that conversation. Yeah, so the point is it just now that they will get to know that there is indeed corruption in our judicial system, and for them and in our prison system, for them to look for ways to amend it? There are lots of rots in prison, especially most of these your big politicians that hear that they're in jail. Like, for instance, when they said that former Senator, who then now, Idris Okuneye, was in prison. Do you think the normal prison where they packed those boys like sardine was where they kept Idris Okuneye then? It's not the same thing now. It's not the same thing. So how is it that a serving minister who's overseeing that parastatal is oblivious of this rots, this decay in that system? And then it is now, because somebody has blown the whistle, and then it is now that they are now calling for a probe of the prison system. It's such a shame, such an embarrassment to Nigeria, such a shame to Nigeria. So if not for this exposition, people wouldn't have known. We have been seeing videos now from Nigerian prison. We have been seeing transactions run by some people. People even say they run transactions. People even say their family members send them money, send them stuffs. So how is it that it is now that the federal government will now react to now start to look at probe on the things that happen in a Nigerian prison? Very shameful of us. But let's quickly jump on this call. We'll get back to take it. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Precious. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Remind me your name, where you're calling from, and go ahead.
My name is Darlington. I'm calling from Johannesburg, South Africa.
You're welcome, Darlington. Go straight on. Which of these issues would you like to react to?
Nigeria has turned into a circus, It's so heartbreaking.
Sorry.
Like you talking about this Kekere Ekun lady.
Yes.
The question should be, this corruption she just suddenly want to fight. When did that corruption start? Who started the corruption? When did she find out that there has been corruption in Nigeria?
In the judicial system. Remember that's the judiciary. That's where she oversees. Yes.
You understand, because she has been part and parcel of the whole corruption.
How is she part and parcel, though? I like to hear.
She has been part and parcel of corruption in Nigeria. She being member of the petition tribunal.
Okay.
Listing that
the presidential election, the presidential Supreme Court panel, yes.
Presidential election something. I'm basically from Imo State. I know the story of Hope Uzodinma. I was in Nigeria when that election was held in 2019. That they're making head on
one, exactly.
Brakataba was done. Hope Uzodinma from fourth to first.
From fourth to first.
Yeah, from fourth last.
But you know what came about that judgment here? That they ceded some local governments and some polling units that they said it was Hope Uzodinma's stronghold. They ceded all the votes from that polling unit and gave to him, and that's what made his vote bigger than the rest of that of others. Remember,
Nigeria is like a country of abracadabra. Anything goes as long as Nigeria is like for the highest bid. You hear, if I want to come again to the story of Nnamdi Kanu with Justice Binta Nyako.
Okay.
You understand? Somebody committed a crime in England. You understand? And the English people, the English court never saw deem it fit, never saw it as a crime to charge him there. Now you kidnapped him, brought him to Nigeria. Now you want to charge him of what you think is a crime that he committed in England. Now he now tells you, but I never committed any crime. Okay, if you say I committed a crime in England, English people, an English court is what is supposed to try me. So how come you, Nigeria, is the one trying me against?
But they can also write. They can also, the British government can write for Nigeria to punish him for them, or can write for him to be repatriated back to the UK to serve his term. Yes, but none of this had happened. None of this happened under the Nigerian government. Yes. Yes.
You know, so they didn't do that. Instead, they said, okay, we're not going to charge you again that you committed the crime in England.
They removed it. You committed the crime.
So Nigeria is such a mess that it feels like a circus. That Nigeria feels like a joke. You know, our judiciary system is a mess. Our politician, should I go to Edo State? You know, because I'm always on the internet. I'm just, you know, it's a long story, it's a lot that you don't even know. There are a lot of instances, you know, because one is constantly on the watch and look out for Nigeria, following the news on Arise TV, on the internet, you know, YouTube, everything, just trying to see if there is any hope for Nigeria. But more time goes,
there is.
I just hope so.
There is.
So going back to what we were saying, which is about this Binta Nyako, you know, she I don't think she has a good legacy in Nigeria. But you know, most time in life talks are cheap. You know, she can say anything just to create a kind of to hype herself up. And people to see her that, okay, she's going to do A, B, C, D, or E. But at the end of the day, immediately the news is over, she goes into
so you're talking about Justice. You're speaking about
you know,
Justice Kekere Ekun now, not Binta Nyako. You're mixing two people. Binta Nyako is the person who recused herself from Nnamdi Kanu's case.
I'm talking about Kekere Ekun. Yes. I'm talking about Kekere Ekun. Okay. I was just using Binta Nyako and the rest of them as an instant. You understand? To try to explain how rotten Nigeria has become. You know, Nigeria is a place where it feels like it cannot be helped anymore.
It will be helped.
You know, so I personally have lost hope. Which I wish is not the case, you know, but Nigeria is a lost case. That's what I just thought I should tell you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. But hold on there. It's not a lost case. Hold it there. I would get to that very soon. So the thing is, okay, that he just reminded me of the Justice Binta Nyako's case yesterday. I don't know if some of you who joined my radio program yesterday would have heard when I broke down that situation. When I said that Sam Amadi did say that Justice Binta Nyako herself, the justice that recused herself, that is removed herself from Nnamdi Kanu's case, had told him 2 years ago that it may be likely very difficult to prove the case of, you know, treason and all those cases that the federal government is pinning on Nnamdi Kanu, that it may be very difficult to prove it, because one thing is to lay an allegation, another thing is to prove beyond reasonable doubt that this person is guilty of that case. So he said that Binta Nyako herself had told him that it may be difficult, because to prove the case may be a difficult thing for the prosecuting counsel, which is the Nigerian government. So he said that because if you look at the case legally, that doesn't make much sense legally. So could it be that she just wanted that prompt, that anger from Nnamdi Kanu yesterday to prompt us to just say, you know what, I don't find way to run for your case before. Make a kukuma wash my hand, come out like Pontius Pilate. Could that be the reason? Or could this just be a systematic way for them to now eventually come to that political solution? Because if you look at how Nnamdi Kanu's case started, it was more like a Muhammadu Buhari and Northern Nigeria versus Nnamdi Kanu and Eastern Nigerian case. That's the way it started. You know how Muhammadu Buhari called Nigeria, the Eastern people, the dots in the circle, and all of those issues. And remember all that Nnamdi Kanu said during some of his broadcasts and all that, yeah? So with all that conversation, and when Nnamdi Kanu was eventually apprehended in 2019, thank you. I see you. They say, Precious, I greet you. What of the program on GMNS? You remember me from Wazobia? How fun? How you did? Well done in Mecca, Milan. We did. These are GMNS Pro Max that they get for you here. Eh? Thank you. So you remember how he was arrested in 2019? He was taken to Kuje prison. From Kuje prison, he was granted bail. And then, next thing, the military laid siege on his house, clamped down on his house. That incident saw people die. in his house. People died. I think from both sides, if I can remember, died. And that was why he disappeared and fled for his life, which is what he consistently tells the court today, that he fled for his life. So if he did indeed, he fled for his life and then, of course, was eventually repatriated, or what some people call kidnapping, because it was an extrajudicial rendition from Kenya back to Nigeria. And with all that case, when I remember when Muhammadu Buhari was asked questions about what he could do about this case, he talked, say, no, I go let the courts take in judgment. Anything when courts talk, I go do. When courts come say, make them free the man now. Next thing, now this Nigerian, I'm the first place I hear say, you are acquitted but not discharged. Before, when they hear discharged and acquitted. Now for Nnamdi Kanu case, now I hear say somebody can be acquitted but not discharged. Case continues. After court discharged and acquitted you, then the person who is prosecuting you interpreted the case to say you are acquitted but you're not discharged. So I keep you back. I hold you acquitted. Now you be, but you know they're discharged. And then the case continued to linger. Went back again to the High Court where it's met Justice Binta Nyako. So now that that case has moved beyond the administration of Muhammad Buhari to the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu now. The Chief Justice of Nigeria right now is a Yoruba woman. The Attorney General of Nigeria is a Yoruba woman. The Chief Justice then, or let's say the Attorney General then was Malami, of course, an Hausa man. The President then was an Hausa man, and all that. So we could say, oh, it's fair because of all the things he said. Jibrim from Sudan, this and that. So it may be a personal vendetta. That's why Nnamdi Kanu calls it a persecution and not a prosecution. He calls it a persecution because he be like, say, just the chant me. Because he look at the case clearly like this. Okay, why you not carry me go the place where I commit the crime, make I go serve judgment? Or why you not obey every single thing where be say the Supreme Court say make una do for the case? You just cherry pick. Look the one where be say serve you right, where you want obey. Then the one where no sweet you for body, you no agree obey that one. You come on that one, keep am for another corner. You understand? And that's why he got angry yesterday and said that if the Nigerian High Court is going to obey or act according to what the judgment of the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court had passed a judgment and it's the appellate court. The judgment of the Supreme Court is supposed to be final in Nigeria. So if the Supreme Court had said a couple of things, if you want to obey what the Supreme Court said, obey it in total. Don't just take the part of where the Supreme Court said that he has the right to answer questions on the 7 count charges against him. The other things that the Supreme Court said in court, why are you not paying attention to it? These are issues, and perhaps that's. But now we have the President of Nigeria as a Yoruba man. We have the Attorney General of the Federation as a Yoruba man. The Chief Justice now is a Yoruba person. The what do they call it? The police head is a Yoruba person. So is it not better for the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to just say, you know what, this case started from northern Nigeria versus eastern Nigeria issue. We, the people of southwest Nigeria, let's come ourselves and do the right thing. Could it be that now that Justice Kekere Ekun has been sworn in as a substantial Chief Justice of Nigeria, saying that one of the things she has to do is to fight corruption in the judiciary? Could it be that maybe Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case is one of the cases she has to look back to? Because remember, today she was just confirmed by the Senate. Yesterday, Justice Binta Nyako recused herself from Nnamdi Kanu's case, washed her hands off it. That means her case, Nnamdi Kanu's case file, will now be handed back to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, which is Justice Kekere Ekun. She will not be the one to now reassign the case to another judge to handle. So we should now look at it well now and say, this case, so if Binta Nyako can open her mouth to tell Sam Amadi that this case does not make much of legal sense and it may be difficult to prove that Nnamdi Kanu is guilty of all the charges against him. If Binta Nyako, a justice, a revered justice, can say that, could it also be that maybe Justice Kekere Ekun may not come down to say that, look at this case and see that there is no much thing about this case to say. So let me just package this case, give it to a judge who will clear this case, discharge him and acquit him, and perhaps a little bit of warning here and there, and let the matter, let the young man go his way. Could that be what may likely happen? Well, I do not know. Your guess is as good as mine, but I really like to take your thought on that. Thank you, Darlington, for calling my attention to that case. Because now that we have a substantial Chief Justice of Nigeria, the case will be reassigned, of course, by her. To who now? That is the question. And of course, he will not go back to Justice Binta Nyako, who denied and who said she doesn't want the case anymore. Yeah. So if you're joining me for the first time, please kindly click the subscribe button. Click on the subscribe button. For here we rub minds on issues on the front burner in Nigeria. This is a platform where I have to let you talk without telling you honorable off your mic. So I'm not turning off your mic here. I'll let you have your say because this is just a social media platform and it is not a terrestrial platform. So you have a freedom to speak your mind. You can call me on WhatsApp right away on 0817-029-4077. 0817-029-4077. If you like to chime in on this conversation, the conversation of Justice Kekere Ekun, confirmed as a substantial Chief Justice of Nigeria, and what she said about fighting corruption, and perhaps what is likely going to be her reaction to the Nnamdi Kanu's case. What could be, what is she likely to do concerning Nnamdi Kanu's case? Do you see this new Chief Justice of Nigeria now looking at ways to just forget about Nnamdi Kanu's case and ensuring that justice indeed takes place and he's released? I'd like to take your thoughts and reactions. 0817-029-4077 is the number to call, but only on WhatsApp. You can't get that number on, on direct call. So just call it on WhatsApp 0817-029-4077. So we go to other issues. Yahaya Bello. So Yahaya Bello has taken the EFCC to the Supreme Court. His case was called up today. Of course, Oga was nowhere to be found. They're around because EFCC never still catch him. If they do them, the more you look, the less you see. Oga just they disappear for EFCC anyhow. You recall that last week, Yahaya Bello was in the EFCC office and he went together with the governor of his state who had immunity. And he went there, so the EFCC, I heard they did not say anything to him. They tried to excuse him to see him privately, where they would have apprehended him, by the way, but he refused to excuse them. So as he not going to excuse them, and they know say because they no go fear arrest him with person will get immunity, so then leave him. So that's why the next day morning, they laid siege on the Kogi State government, Kogi State Liaison Lodge that is in Abuja to see if they can apprehend him. But of course, he was nowhere to be found. Although there are sources that, who knows? Because it looks like Yahaya Bello, he's too smart. Are you a Jagbawa? Does it mean that perhaps he has some informants in the EFCC that are feeding him with some things that's happening in the EFCC? Because how is it that he understands exactly how to deal with the EFCC? So much so that he knows how to treat them. He knows when they may be coming for him and when they're not coming for him. Now, the next thing he did? He has taken the EFCC to court. Now, EFCC declares you wanted for corruption, taking over 87 billion naira of your state's treasury and doing with it what they do not know. Some part of it being taking care of a personal business like paying your children's school fees and all that with it. And then what do you now do? They declared you wanted. When they invited you to come several times, you refused. They looked for you. You whisked off. You disappeared. You did them willy-willy. Then they declared you wanted. What did they do next? Took them to the Supreme Court. Guess why he took them to the Supreme Court? For declaring him wanted. Like, how dare you declare me wanted? And so Yahaya Bello, they tell the they tell EFCC. Wonder shall never end in this country. This is a very interesting conversation because I'm just thinking, so EFCC gets energy like this to do Yahoo boys and other boys. It seems the way they do them. But if you reach politicians for Nigeria, EFCC energy, they reduce. What's happened? What happened that the EFCC does not have enough energy to handle the case of Yahaya Bello the way they handle the cases of other people, other young men in Nigeria? What's going on? So his case was called upon today in court. Yahaya Bello did not come. And of course, no excuse. And then his lawyer rose up and said, excuse me, my lord, I want to say something. Because as I know, my clients, you don't carry this EFCC, people who won't prosecute them, you don't carry them, go Supreme Court, say, make them stop to declare I'm wanted. Guess what? Even the lawyer of the EFCC had to say that, you know what, I advise that we place a sanction on the National Judicial Council and Nigerian NBA places a sanction on this lawyer. Because all the while we have been looking for this your client, you know saying they're missing, you know say your clients disappear, and you they defend them since that time. And now you get mind to tell us, say, you don't carry us go Supreme Court. Now, these are the kind of issues that Justice Kekere Ekun has to contend with in Nigerian judicial system. How would she be able to handle this issue? That's the question that a lot of people may not be able to answer. I don't have answers to, but if you think that Justice Kekere Ekun can indeed fight this rot, this corruption in our judicial system, I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you think that maybe it may be difficult for her to do so too, I still love to take your thoughts and reactions. Number to call on WhatsApp alone is 0817-029-4077. 0817 0294077. That's the number to call. I like this to be very interactive, so please call me up and tell me what you think about these issues. Matthew says, God bless you, Pre. Thank you so much. Darlington Ekweogo says, hi, precious. Darlington here. One love from Darlington Onyekachi Ekweogo from Johannesburg. I think you're the one that just called me, Darlington. Thank you so much. Big ups to you, man. Chingy team says, good evening, Pre and Wanyama. Thank you. And Festus Onyi Rioha says, which means there is no hope for a common man. That is the scariest thing. So it has gotten to that stage in Nigeria that people feel that if they go to court, nothing for them. And that is very scary. You know, yesterday on the show, I was talking about it, that we're looking at foreign direct investment. Oh, Nigeria increasing interest rates so that they will suppress or call back some of the excess funds that we have in the economy and all that. So that, and then we should attract foreign direct investment. Which foreigner will come invest for Nigeria? When you know that the country you're coming to invest in, you don't have good judicial system. That if anything happens to your money, there is no likelihood that you may get justice in courts. If there is any, decision of government or you have issues with anybody with your business, you may not likely get justice. That is a problem for a country. A country that everybody in the world is already knowing us that our judicial system pay, get as a be like this. You get as a be. Can Justice Kekere Ekun fight, surmount this battle that is in the judicial system? It is a Herculean task that she has to fight because this journey not be today, it go hard. Then Cynthia Omoro Gieve says, good evening, Precious, I appreciate you. Emeka Milan says, Precious, I greet you. What of the program GMNS? GMNS is fine. We're on a break now, but once in a while you see me. I'm sure you see me on the Wazobia TV too. Chingitin says, no military died in his house, but 21 people died in MNK's house. Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate you. All right, so phone lines are open. I'd really like to take your thoughts and reactions on these conversations that we've raised tonight. Yeah, 0817-029-4077. That's the number to call. 0817-029-4077. That's the number to call. I'd love to take your thoughts, your reactions on these conversations that we've raised. What do you think is what is before us? And then if you weigh the Nigerian judicial system to that of other countries now, for somebody who purportedly allegedly was denied visa because of the Imo State election that she presided over, that she was part of, that is the Hope Uzodinma's case, that saw somebody that was in a fourth position as the winner. What do you think say other countries would look us as? Because it looks like Nigeria is almost becoming a mockery amongst other African countries. People like Ghana, South Africa, they're really looking at us funny, like in a country, stuff like that. Then with also approving and confirming her as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Do you think that Justice of Nigeria, do you think that it has any implication at all? Or do you think that, what does it mean? And perhaps, do you think that perhaps it's issues and incidences like this that is the reason why she has sworn to fight corruption in the judiciary? It may be, because sometimes no human being is perfect, really. There may be some decisions that may be taken out of ignorance, as it were, out of lack of in-depth knowledge. So if that decision on the judgment of the Imo State Imo State Supreme Court panel that saw Hope Uzodinma from number 4 to the winner of the election, if you think that the panel that sat on that case, which Justice Kekere Ekun was part of, perhaps regrets it, do you see this as part of the reasons why she thinks that one of the things on the front burner for her is to fight corruption in the judicial system? I really would like to take your thought and reaction on that, because it's very important that we know and educate ourselves on these things. Let's know. Let's get to know. Now, I keep saying that one of the reasons it's very important for us to keep talking is so that we continue to be aware. Because as long as we're informed, we cannot make mistake. An informed mind is very important. I think I saw somebody sent something earlier. I think Chingitim, that was you, that you said that the Bobrisky incident is not only in Nigeria, that is like that in across the world. Yeah, I understand that VIP thing. We even watch them in American movies now, But then, how about of somebody not serving his jail term? Do you know the rots? They swap prisoners. That's part of the allegation. They swap prisoners. But the allegation on Bobrisky's case is that he was chilling in a 1-bedroom, maybe 2-bedroom apartment somewhere and never served. Remember that the idea of serving a prison term is to serve as a deterrent. That's why they now changed it from prison to correctional center. It serves as a deterrent and it helps rebuild you. By the time you see the suffer you suffered there, you will not behave. You not tell yourself that, check, I'm not going to do this bad thing again. Because when you look the suffer when you suffer for that place where you stay for 6 months or 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, you not tell yourself that I cannot be involved in this kind of bad thing again, so that I don't get to face this same fate again. But when people, because of money, people because of influence, don't get to face those things, they subvert justice, and then somebody else will serve their jail term for them. There's even issues of people serving jail term for them. I've heard that before. It's all over the streets of social media. You can go check it out. They swap prisoners. If you get money now, your papa na billionaire, you do bad thing, you go feel just give somebody is even waiting. Poor man pikin when no get money, they wait for you to give them 2 million, 4 million, 5 million. We go represent you. In fact, the other one that said they even clear prison record, crime record. They go even clear your crime record, so that in case you want to jackpot, you know that part of the reasons why they ask you to send police report and all that when you want to jackpot is because they want to check your crime record, if you have any, crime record and all of those. So they even clear crime record. So a pedophile, a criminal, a thief, an armed robber, a killer, a murderer, that crime can be erased from his file, and the person will go scot-free, and perhaps move from this country to another country and now become a mess in another country. God forbid. And that's part of what is giving Nigeria bad names. It is now that the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, is not thinking about it and not saying, oh, I want us to investigate what is happening in the prison system. So if this alarm was not raised, we will not look at investigating the rot in the prison system. Let's even look at the food that they give to them. I think the food for a prisoner in Nigeria is above almost 2,000 naira or 2,000 something for one prisoner. But look at the quality of food they give to these prisoners. Does it equate that money that is spent on their food? How about the rot from the prison, from the warders and the prison workers themselves? The kind of money they exchange money. In fact, I hear that, see, you go for prison because you trade on drugs. You go to prison, I hear that one of the highest drug businesses happen inside prison. Some of the highest drug businesses happen inside the prison, where people go to correct themselves for dealing on drugs. Have you seen a thing like that before? Hey, God, now what? So that is to say that our judiciary, they get a lot of case for their hand. Justice Kekere Ekun go get a lot of work to do. And Minister Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, he gets a lot of work to do, because for you to correct all of this, it looks like it's going to take a long way, because it looks like the corruption sit down where they eat balanced diets for inside Nigeria. It sit down, it no one go anywhere. You want to talk about when politicians are involved in corruption. See the mess between EFCC and Yahaya Bello, for instance. See how difficult it's been for the EFCC to apprehend Yahaya Bello. But it's been very easy. Just tweet as you are now. Just even reaction that you react on this page now, the EFCC can see you, pin you down for it. Just small reaction that you give on this page now, EFCC can track you through your IP address, get you, apprehend you, and pin you down for it. So if the EFCC, what happened to Pidum, for instance? By the way, we're gradually forgetting about Pidum's case. We're gradually forgetting about him. There is no more cry for Pidum's release. No more cry for Pidum's release. What was his crime? For reporting things. Now, the federal government never even stated that any of the things he reported was false. No. They no talk saying anything we report na lie you. Remember this United Nations General Assembly now, where on our vice presidents go, and where some of our ministers they so. Now, some of the secrets were leak, where he exposed to us the amount they used to rent hotel alone last year. They spent about $500 and something thousand, over $500 million on hotel bills. You know, follow for extra code though. Extra code was not among it. These were some of the reviews by Pidum. He was the first person that blew the whistle on the fact that Nigerian government, amidst hardship, was subsidizing Hajj pilgrimage for Nigerians. He released that the Nigerian government, amidst hardship, was subsidizing pilgrimage for Nigerians. You're telling people, take it easy, there is no food, oh, don't worry, let's endure this hunger for now. But you're subsidizing pilgrimage. How many children of the poor could afford to go to Hajj? How many children of the poor can go to Hajj? But you were subsidizing pilgrimage. Now, the police never said that any of the things he said was a lie. They're not talking any of the reports or any of the release. Now, lie, make a call and release like saying a record. But what they were saying was the fact that he released classified documents. Please, what makes the release of the fact that federal informing Nigerians, the federal government is subsidizing Hajj, which the federal government itself now also accepted. What makes it a classified issue? And Nigerians not supposed to know things about their country, how their money is being expended by the people they employed. Just so you know, Nigerians, you employ the politicians to work for you. In a sane country, that is the way it's supposed to be. It is supposed to be transactional business. While you employ them to work for you, you give them your resources to manage. It is your responsibility to know how well or not they are managing their resources. It is not the other way around, where it's supposed to be a master and slave relation or master and servant relationship. No. And that is why we must continue to talk about it, so that you build that consciousness and you are aware. Yeah? So, by the way, phone lines are still open. I'd like you to jump in on the conversation if you have any contribution to make. So that I take your thoughts and reactions before I run over to my radio show. Okay? So, these are the things. Now, till now, we have forgotten about Pidum. His case is almost dead on arrival. We can't find Brother Man again. No more agitation for bring back Pidum, release Pidum. No, now the next one is Fearless October protest. How many people will even really succeed in going for the protest? As much as I applaud Shawore for calling for the protest, but what work have they been doing to release those that have been charged for prison as a result of the protest? Treason, rather. There are Nigerians right now facing treason charges because of the protest. Do you know how serious the charge of treason is? That's like the federal government taking permission from the court to hold you perpetually, to hold you forever. That is to keep you in prison forever. Or taking permission from the court to kill you. For what? For protesting hunger and bad governance in your country. That's what they want to kill you for. They're taking permission to kill you for. So these are issues that we need to talk about. I was expecting for Omoyole Sowore and his team, because they were the ones that called for the End Bad Governance protest in August. So I was hoping that they would also at least make so much noise, pressurize the government until they release every single person held as a result of that End Bad Governance protest. And they release that treason charge on all of them. Because it is improper. You can imagine when a British citizen is reminding Nigerians that what do they call it? Protest is not treason. Teaching us English, because Okukuma knows I do English before, so they get to teach us, say, don't tell me that I'm being charged for treason or I'm wanted for treason, because protest is not treason. That is the kind of country that we're in. So that is why it is important that you continue to give information, feed the right information to your mind and to the people around you. We can't stop talking. I know sometimes it can be so overwhelming and people say we're tired. How long would they talk? Would they talk? It'd be like saying they work. If you continue like this, my brother, especially the people with the power. Now, the greatest mistake you people made in 2015 was to vote in the group of people you have in power today. That's what some people say. That's the greatest mistake. You have voted these people into power and they would stay here forever. If you ask me, I think that the APC was even better as opposition than ruling class. Because as ruling class, they really do you like this. They tie on a neck where. So they were better as opposition party than the ruling party. Because as opposition party, they were really holding PDP accountable. I think PDP is the worst opposition party that we've ever had in Nigeria. They don't even know how to be opposition. I think PDP paid too much attention in knowing how to, perhaps paid too much attention in being, paid too much attention in being in government to even understand how to be an opposition. Right now, they can't even be an opposition to save their lives. So this administration can do anything. Some of the things that this administration or the administration of APC, from Muhammad Buhari's administration to Bola Tinubu's administration, are doing, still doing. If to say na PDP trial that time, they go don't drag PDP like I pass my neighbor generator. But why is the PDP not dragging APC for some of these things? Why is it not? Why don't we have enough awareness about these things that's happening? Because it looks like Nigerians have very low attention span. When they just shout small, the next minute they're tired and they move on. But people from other countries will persevere. They will continue to wait. They would hold on. See the way the Kenyan youth held onto the neck of their president. They did not agree. They said we need to agree for anybody. I think when I've been talking this year and the year of I no go agree for anybody. December never even reached, and don't forget the slogan I want to get for this year. You don't become we will agree anyhow I want to do. It's not I don't agree for anybody again. It's now we will agree anyhow you say it. Do you now understand? So it's situations like that. Kenyans held their brief. They held it down. They made sure that bill was turned down. Now let me tell you something. Did you know that bill, that levy that was supposed to be levied on all accounts, I think that was a national security levy. I hope it was national security levy that is supposed to be a cyber security levy. Thank you. Cyber security levy that the federal government had announced to start implementing on all accounts, on every transaction in all accounts. That there was a lot of uproar then. People shouted. Government stop them. Guess what? They don't introduce them now. Everybody don't shut up. Government know now. On our government understand Nigerians very well. They know exactly how to handle Nigerians because they know that you can be easily distracted. So once they just bring any small story to distract you people like this, they will just implement a law from the under that you will not even pay attention to, and life just go on. Life will just go on. And like that, people will not talk. Now, the cyber security levy has been implemented. For every transaction you run now from 10,000 naira, you be charged 0.05% of that amount for cyber security. It's not as if paying that money is difficult or is a problem, but it is going to be a problem when I lose my phone, for instance, and through my SIM card, somebody would access my account. And if the person accesses my account, the person collects money from my account, and I go to my bank will tell me they cannot do anything about it. Then what am I paying cybersecurity levy for? And this money we hear is supposed to be paid to the office of the National Security. Nobody is saying anything. That levy is bad. Just if you to act and to who are actually under our employment and not the other way round. That is it. Now, the problem with the cybersecurity levy now, if for instance, as they said, this money is going to the Nigerian government, the office of the National Security Advisor, does it mean that I can hold the National Security Advisor responsible if anything happens to my money in my accounts? Do you know how many fraud is reported by Nigerians through the banking system every day? Do you know how many fraud Nigerians have lost through the banking system? People were here just when 2022 December, or I think November, December 2022, during that hardship and strangulation of fund towards the end of President Muhammad Buhari's administration, when people were forced to put their monies in accounts and open accounts because you cannot have access to cash and all of those, that a woman said she's been saving her money since in her house. How many million? She went to go and pay it into her account. Daddy, the money just the account come out. Boys, sweep them off. And the bank will not take responsibility. If the bank is not taking responsibility, the National Security Advisor, whose office receives the cyber security bill, will he take responsibility? That is the question. So these are questions, salient questions that we should be asking. And just before we wrap up, if you like to jump in on the conversation, you'd like to call us to air your thoughts and reactions, you can call 0817-029-4077. 0817-029-4077. It's only on WhatsApp that you can get that number. You can't get it on direct call, so you can just call that number on WhatsApp, 0817-029-4077. So the conversation today has been about Justice Kekere Ekun being confirmed by the Nigerian Senate as a substantial Chief Justice of Nigeria. And of course, you remember that Justice Kekere Ekun was famous for the judgment that brought Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma to office. She was part of that Supreme Court panel that sat on that case that saw the fourth positioned Hope Uzodinma becoming the winner of the Imo State election. And how they came about that judgment still baffled a lot of people, because people just want to say how you go carry every vote, a court go assume say the votes where everybody suppose vote for a particular location suppose go for one person alone because in a stronghold. Even Lagos State was a stronghold of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but Peter Obi won Lagos State. So you can imagine if the case were interpreted by court and court now says no, it is because we know that Lagos State is the state for Jagaban. He must have won the election. So all the votes from Lagos State, as we will have 12 million registered voters in Lagos State, the entire 12 million votes would go to Jagaban. Is it possible? Because that's exactly how that case was, interpreted by the Justice Kekere Ekun team that were part of the panel that sat on that case. And then she was also part of the people who sat on the Presidential Election Tribunal. No, not the tribunal now. The Supreme Courts. the Supreme Court panel for the presidential election. She was part of those. She has sworn to fight corruption in the judicial system. She has sworn that she's a person of integrity and she's here to cleanse the judicial system. And then people are making reference to some of these cases that she's been party to. That following these cases she's been party to, do you see her as being indeed dogged enough to ensure that there is indeed sanity on our judicial system? Do you see Justice Kekere Ekun restoring the hope of Nigerians and making the judiciary indeed the hope of the common man? Because people are saying now that judiciary no longer the hope, no, it not be the hope of common man again. A lot of people they talk am. When I hear on radio say the Supreme Court now, you be like saying na cash and carry, because now who get money pass now, they win case. Not be person where be say suppose win case, they win, but not be person where get the clearest judgment or the fairest case, they win case. Now person where get money pass. So do you see Justice Kekere Ekun restoring that hope, making the Supreme Court, making the court generally the hope of the common man in Nigeria, as she has promised to do? I really love to share your thoughts and reaction on that. Plus, I told you that Yahaya Bello has taken the Nigerian EFCC corruption house to court. He carried them go Supreme Court. You know, carry them go any other court. He said, "Make them go Supreme Court. I take you to Supreme Court so that you go and remove. Why did you declare me wanted? How dare you declare me wanted? Make I carry you go Supreme Court. Make you come on down wanted where you put there. You know the case now. And then Yahaya Bello don't do EFCC. Oh, if they do them, the more you look, the less you see. They give them different shades of himself, and then the government is not looking at it. The people are not saying anything because it's a PDA and APC man. Things are going on well. It now brings to mind to what Oshimole once said, that if you come to APC, your sins will be forgiven. Because what is going on there? What is all of this? That an FBI, for instance, or a crime-fighting agency like the EFCC will be unable to apprehend a former governor till today. What am I even talking about? The Obiano, Willie Obiano that they apprehended before, what did they do with this case? Shebi has then given bail of how many million and all that. Till today, that case don't see the light of day. Remember the abracadabra where the same EFCC do for Rocha's Okorocha house? Open ceiling, climb ceiling, do this, do that. Today, where is Rocha's Okorocha? What did they do to him? So at the end of the day, it looks like now Yahaya Bello now fits EFCC well because he get their medicine. They follow them according to their tactics. So he just tell them, say, these guys, I know you guys. I'm going to deal with you guys the way you are. So he's taking them to the Supreme Court to ensure that they stop declaring him wanted. That's part of it. And I also told you that Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, the Minister of Interior, has said that there should be a probe of the Nigerian prison, of the allegations on Nigerian prison. That's why is it that, the kind of things that we're hearing, that people don't serve their jail term. There's corruption in Nigerian prison, all of those things. Organa, today you didn't know how you go preside over a ministry and you don't see all this kind of corruption they happen. Well, if this is your first time of joining this channel, please kindly click on the subscribe button. Please, please, please kindly subscribe. Share this page to your friends if you can. Recommend this page to your friends if you can. Here we talk about things that affect us in Nigeria, things that's got to do with us in Nigeria. I had just 1 hour to do this, and I'm about done with the 1 hour. And I appreciate all of you who's joined the live. I thank you. I appreciate you. I was looking at your comments here. So thank you so much for being part of the platform. For those who sent me messages on WhatsApp, let me look at those WhatsApp messages. I told you could reach me on WhatsApp on 0817-029-4077. 0817-029-4077. You could call right now, as a matter of fact, to lend your voice to any of these conversations that we're having today. Just call on WhatsApp alone to just lend your voice. Don't just talk your own share. Make we hear as a matter do you for Bele, because we really like to hear from you how this case, the more we mention, do you for Bele. Because this is the platform where we'll have to talk without telling you honorable off your mic. We'll just let you say your mind and have your say on the conversation. But so far, I thank you. My time is fast spent. I'll be rushing now to my radio show. Thank you to everyone who's joined on the show. I appreciate you. I'll be here again 5:30 tomorrow, God willing. 5:30 Nigerian time tomorrow, God willing. And of course, we'll be dissecting trending topical conversations in Nigeria generally as they arise. They will be looking at them and as they affect us generally, because it's very important that we look at these issues as they affect us and what are their implications, especially to Nigeria and the Nigerian people generally. It is important that we continue. We'll stop to talk, because I said it before that the moment to stop talking, we start dying. So we can't stop talking so that we don't begin to die. Because as a matter of fact, all die in a die, yeah, but then let's talk. At least that's what we have to do. By the time we make a lot of noise about it, then maybe we'll begin to see the change that we desire. See now, we made noise about the cybersecurity levy that they imposed on all transactions in Nigeria, and government stopped it. We kept quiet. Government has now introduced it gradually. They just creep them in, introduce them. They don't charge on now for cyber security levy. Everywhere don't calm, everywhere don't quiet. Nobody talk again. Because if people are not talking, if you talk, they will stop. So that's why they don't want people to be informed. If you're informed, they would stop. They know that you know their gimmicks. So you should talk so that they will stop doing the things that they're doing. I love you. My name is Precious. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Kindly click on that subscribe button. I'll see you again tomorrow evening. Hopefully, have yourself an amazing day. Goodbye. Bye.